Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Gaming to the Max and part 16 of our Hearts of Iron 4 Old World Blues Enclave Redux mod. So, in the last episode, we had partnered with the Dominion of Canada under Queen Victoria VI in agreement that we will fight and give all of the territory of Canada back over to her and her Dominion. They are allies with us. The same thing as we did down here in Mexico with the Republic of Mexico. Taking these territories a little bit easier to deal with. Do they have Tijuana? I wonder if that's why it keeps asking me. I'm going a little sidetracked right here, but I can say, hey, return these lands. I've returned it like 3 or 4 times, but well, we can do it again at some point. But in the last episode, we had defeated the Cherokee Nation. And the Choctaw Nations, as well as annexing the Houston Rockets, the Bayou Motors, the Arroyo, and her allies. And we're on the attempt to take over the realm of Diana. And let me think what else. That's about it. We've been gearing up against the Washington Brotherhood, of course, in Canada. We're trying to take the Sorrows, the Ciphers, and Circle Junction here soon. That's part of our focuses. So right now we're just hoping to get some political power saved up. America's Wayward Knights to reconcile our past. The loss of the Brotherhood's ancestral citadel in Lost Hills scattered them to the hidden safe houses and far-flung bunkers across the waste. As of right now, they're at their lowest, something that the president can exploit to his own gain. Reaching out, several elements of the Brotherhood remaining leadership agreed to meet the president on neutral ground on their choosing, and with Granite getting only a few hours' notice. When the location was chosen, Granite boarded Marine 1 with a heavy escort and arrived shortly thereafter. Elders, senior paladin, and what few head scribes remained stood across at an open wasteland from the president and his entourage. The minion was watched over by suspicious knights and paladins from above. The president's terms were simple and quick: swear fealty to the United States, the Constitution, congressional oversight, and its people, and the Brotherhood would have Lost Hills returned, all crimes exonerated, and to continue Maxson's goal of protecting the wasteland from dangerous technology via the United States. The Brotherhood's leaders stood amongst themselves, mulling over the president offers. They accept. The president smiled at the acceptance from the Brotherhood. Despite the reservations in the Enclave past hostilities, word has spread over their actions in New Reno and their restoration in California and abroad. 2 centuries ago, Maxson and what would be the Brotherhood of Steel seceded from the United States. Now the Brotherhood returned to it, reinvigorated and anew. Yet, as the president warmly thanked them for their decision, Granite couldn't help feel the stares of unease and concern from some of the delegation, or the uneasiness of the knights watched them. He couldn't blame them, but his warm smile could assure them that they had taken a great step into the future alongside the rest of the modern post-world. For 200 years, our wayward soldiers have returned. I can please promote the exchange of ideas, or we welcome them back into the fold. American Brotherhood Reclamation. While Lost Hills may have been the birthplace and epicenter of the Brotherhood of Steel, each chapter operated semi-independently to a mixed batch of success. From the soaring accomplishments of the Midwest and Texas to the sad story of the Mojave and Maxson's chapters. Then, of course, there are the horrors that came out of Seattle with the Washington Brotherhood. One more with the fact that these chapters are free to interpret their own laws, codex, and values at a whim puts a danger on American citizens, both within our border and out. By special act of Congress, the American Brotherhood will work to reunite the chapters and bring them in line with the views of both the American people and the American Brotherhood, to protect Americans and by extent humanity from the dangers of technology, but also not lose sight of the values as a result. What awaits us, we shall see. We got the promotion of ideas, and then we can do the R band of Brotherhoods. Gets event the Brotherhoods flee. Now I do want to see let's start a lend lease. Send you 2,000 convoys and some monoplane fighters. Hopefully at some point we can bring them down. Power grids. Am I at war? Oh yeah, with the dredgers. I was like, let's see. Manage subjects. Okay, so I just need political power as well as for them. Scavengers return triumphant. Awesome. Oh, we had a big fight. Sunk some of the river barges. The Great Northern Union, the Victorian Dominion, announced from the Royal Palace in New Victoria that a campaign similar to that seen in the United States and Mexico to reclaim lost territory would be raiders, terrorists, or pretenders to the Canadian throne. Queen Victoria VI, however, was adamant that the royal envoys would be dispatched to peaceful nations for a glorious reunion and everlasting peace among the people of the Great White North. Those who wish shall join those who wish join shall be friends. Those who would oppose will be crushed under the might of the Royal Army. While the army remains relatively small, U.S. officials agreed to support the northern cause with the full might of the U.S. military to make up for the shameful annexation of Candradia just prior to the Great War. Soon the skies above our northern navel will unite in song together, or be lit up by more than just the northern lights. The precision ended with the passing review of the Victorian Royal Guard alongside a detachment of U.S. Marines from the President's security outfit. We will civilize Candradia yet. The trial of Samuel Cook. The trial of Samuel Cook was relatively quickly, but was very close to becoming a failure. Cook happily pleaded guilty on all charges and seemed to take pride in them. The cornerstone of his defense seemed to be that since all of his actions were taken against the NCR, and the NCRs no longer existed, he did nothing wrong. Further, while he may have spoken out against the Enclave, he never outright ordered any actions against American citizens, and that all of those were handled by lower-ranking members of their own initiative. Further, in an impassioned speech, he spoke about how the Enclave was just going to execute him, and that would prove that they were worse than the NCR ever was, regardless if he found guilty or not. The one flaw in his defense was that while under certain legal review that might be true, the judge decided to suspend the case on those grounds, but that a greater legal review was needed to determine the validity of the claims. Given the state of the judiciary system, right now is not the time for such a review. He ordered Samuel Cook to be frozen in cryostasis in Fort Sierra until further legal review can be applied, likely after the nation was up and running, which the judge estimated would be 100 years or so. Samuel Cook was dragged out of the courtroom, kicking and screaming. Well, that was unexpected. That it was. Power up the grid. The new Sierra Madre Gala event today. The president today headlined what was been described as the event of the decade. For the first time since bombs fell, the streets of the Sierra Madre resort were filled with music, while lights and fireworks lit up the sky. The gates of the Sierra Madre, once thought to be a place of myth and legend, have officially reopened. The event itself was held within the casino resort itself, made up primarily of the military forces responsible for clearing the resort, as well as construction, engineering, research, and archaeological teams who worked tirelessly to put the place back together. The festivities concluded with a brilliant firework display signaling to America that the resort is open for business once again and for a limited time is offering resort passes at low numbers. While many within the event said the festivities were great following several weeks of work and effort, a few noticed a strange figure walking among the crowd dressed in a brown pre-war suit that bore a striking resemblance to the resort's original builder, Frederick Sinclair. So far, pictures of the individual remained blurry at best. The Sierra Madre anew has begun. Gain consumer goods negative 10% and trade tariffs plus 3%. Right. We can do the royal levies and the royal dragoons. 9 days till we finish the Reparations Act. Defenses are online. We get 10 fighters. That's happened quite a bit. Economic resurgence. It's hoping for some war support, but of course we never do ever get war support. We could always go down to no mutants allowed, but we're not going to do that. Once we finish the Washington Brotherhood, I'll send my forces over there to assist. A new America. It was a long and hard road, but we've done it. The crimes of the Enclave have been cemented in history, never to be forgotten. President Richardson and his predecessors who started the FEV research are now on par with Hitler and Stalin as the world's worst humans. War criminals, no matter how high or low, have been brought to justice. Families of victims have been compensated for their deaths. Our government now has checks and balances to prevent the emergence of another President Richardson. However, all that begs the question, are we truly still the Enclave? No, for we are something greater now. In every school across the country, children learn about the sordid past of the Enclave and also pre-war United States to ensure such atrocities never happen again. Scientists now have to go through ethic reviews for their experiments. Congress passes legislation holding corporations and other entities to a standard of ethical conduct in order to prevent another vault take. In many towns and cities, memorials are unveiled dedicated to those who were victims of the Enclave reign of terror. Despite the nuclear blasted landscape, America as a whole has never looked this healthy. We learned from our past, gain 150 political power, 50% stability, and 25% legitimacy. Perfect. Brotherhood hardliners flee. Despite our best diplomatic efforts, there have been many in the Brotherhood who have seen what we are nothing more than a genocidal maniacs hellbent on their destruction. When our representative alerted us that all of them have disappeared the night before, we were worried that they had taken to raiding the local countryside. Instead, our radar picked up an unidentified airship heading east towards what was once St. Louis. In act of good faith, we didn't scramble fighters and sent them well wishes on their voyage, saying we would assist if they went down and sent an emergency beacon. Our gracious send-off was not responded to. That won't come back to bite us, right? Safe travels, watch out for storms. Let's do restore the power at NORAD and reunited the American Brotherhood. Fate of the Mojave Territory, the Texas Way, Defenders of the Alamo. Let's do Sundown over the Mojave and the Colorado Expedition.
Enclave here.
We got some Brotherhood troops here.
This is Enclave Maincom.
Only 4 of them, so we'll put them under Martha Santiago.
Enclave here.
I'll actually send you all up here.
Enclave here.
Can they not? Let's see. Strike Lost Hills. Only recently did Allgood truce brokered by Senator Allgood Murphy enact a ceasefire between the NCR and American Brotherhood after taking security. Both countries will see malice. Let's see. Nations. Supposed to raise the banners high. Oh, actually support the Paladin's cause. Against the Washington Brotherhood.
Enclave here.
There these guys go. Make way for the Royal Guard. The Queen today oversaw the passing review of the newest line of Canadian Royal Guard, the baseline formations that make up the bulk of the Royal Army, trained and equipped by the United States Military Assistance Command Canada. The Royal Guard continues the tradition of the old Victorian Royal Army, unlike the often corrupted, somewhat unreliable patronage system put in place by Queen Victoria VI's grandfather. This system smeared off the defunct NCR Army, more organized and regimental system of mediocrity that saw the NCR become a dominant military in the region through the latter half of the 2100s. And most of the 2200s, the Royal Guard's duty will be securing the frontier and fighting in the battle to defend the Queen's sovereignty and right of dominion over the Canadians' lands and the whole nation at their back. Lose some manpower. I'm going to send you a lend-lease of that scouting equipment. If I can find it. There it is. I'll send you about 1,000 pieces of that. And about 1,000 dogs. 1,000 of these. 1,000 of those. That's all just once. And we'll do 1,000 missile launchers. Or maybe 1,500 missile launchers. And then, yeah. I want some of these laser rifles. I'll send you about 2,500 of those. And I'll send you about 150 convoys. Send. Not going to annex them or anything. I'm just going to allow that to happen. We'll train the Royal Guard again. Citizen militia of the Royal Levies. if you guys would like to read this. I'd say it'll be a lot of the same stuff. The fate of the Mojave chapter. Their paladins, knights, scribes, and lancers will join the United States. The Mojave chapter was a victim of its elder's own genius, sent out to uncover the secrets of New Vegas. And the Mojave chapter would find themselves at the epicenter of giants of which they were unprepared for, too busy studying the trees to see the forest close in on them. Elder Elijah led his chapter to doom, gambling everything on Helios 1 when they failed. That would have been the Helios Brotherhood met its end before the NCR, Legion, and U.S. Army. However, the tenacious chapter survived long enough for the members of the American Brotherhood to welcome them back with open arms, becoming another vital part in America's push forward. Fate of the Maxson expedition, a mission to save the treasures of the old world. The Maxson expedition could have become the Colorado Brotherhood if not for Lanius and Legion. It should be the Maxson expedition we thank for putting the fear of power armor into the Legion and reminding Colorado that the old world was something to be so easily forgotten. Their paladins, knights, scribes, and lancers will join the United States. So we can do that for... Oh, we can do this one, the largest naval research and development site. And we'll do the defenders of the Alamo. Establishment of the Royal Commandos, which way to parts unknown, bringing in a new chapter for the Great Northern War. I thought that was going to give them units, but so far it's just taking their manpower. Finish this. Our power armor should be getting up north. Well, they do have royal guards, so maybe. The new knightly order. Who can? Zach can. Infantry wise. Research that. My power armor's going. Traders from the Southern Empire. Oh, we can get expert negotiator. Okay. In the decades that followed the Great War, radiation soaked in the great forests and jungles of South America, irradiating the wildlife and poisoning the air. The jungles drank up the radiation of those horrible warheads, slowly twisting out all recognition into irradiated hellholes. Once tame animals became vicious hunters, and the multitude of snakes and spiders grew in size drastically, preying on each other and the humans that remained. While South America was spared direct nuclear hits, they suffered terribly from the mutated wildlife and failing crops. The survivors of the first decade would slowly regroup on the coast and the Patagonian Plateau into one of the many southern empires, great raiding groups who controlled vast swathes of territory, always at war with each other and struggling to get by. Not all those who reside in the southern empires subscribe to their raiding philosophy, however. Coastal communities retaining independence through the payments of tribute to various factions have become wealthy trade hubs, trading animal hides and the delicious rainforest fruits. These South American city-states have slowly been strengthening their trading links with the nation of the Gulf of Mexico, who trade advanced components and scrap metals in exchange. A fleet of trading ships have recently docked in our ports and offer us a rare opportunity to snap up some rare commodities. We should act quick, though, as seldom they stay long. Lose 20,000 NCR dollars and we get expert negotiator. Trade deal opinion factor. That's nice. Construction. If only I could get my war support up. The fate of the Alamo chapter. Despite breaking off from the Texas Brotherhood to continue their original mission, the Alamo chapter found itself in the crosshairs of Santa Anna in the twist of irony over 300 years in the making, defending the Alamo against the despotic AI robotic hordes. The Alamo chapter will be toasted and remembered for years to come for their bravery. Their paladins, knights, scribes, and lancers will join the United States. Raise the banner high. Go into production. And where is it at? No. Scrap trucks. There we go. We'll switch out for the Wasteland car. Vertibird gunships. The Seabirds, which I want up. Put a bunch on the tanks. Now trade. They still won't. energy is super, super low. Open markets. We could do Mexico's trade. Made in the U.S. And then I can't improve relations with you, can I? Right of the Royal Dragoons. Puppet, release them. So I can just keep sending you all stuff. Do I have something for you? Here's 5,000 robots. And then the Texas way. Ready the power stations. I do want to take the Provisional Republic of Texas and the Roma Diana. Oh. The only thing I need for that is political power and political power. Sweet. A lot of political power. The Provisional Republic of Texas. We annexed them. Oh, sweet. Oh, there's another naval battle. Get some ragtag candles, make way for the Royal Guard so they get even more. Other Royal Knights, they have no power armor. I'll send you 1,000.
This is Enclave main comm.
Guessing we can break through them there. Let's see. War support. Support. Except ghouls, yeah. That helps with war support. Alright, well, that answers that question. Gotta wait for that. We compare nothing was, but this will horror the wasteland from corporate greed to the military ruins. Run a mucking case. So we can do sins of our past. The basement of their secret, the Enclave, is there was a plan to restore the United States without releasing a modified virus in the air, one that evolved among the most advanced robots of the day. The calculator, however, those plans failed, and now we know why. Evidence from the wreckage and battle near the complex showed the Brotherhood of Steel launched an all-out assault on the complex, bent on destroying the calculator once and for all. Suffice to say, they accomplished just that. Most of the calculator systems are damaged beyond repair, and the code works for them wiped from existence. It would take decades to restore everything, and that if anything works out in our favor. Thankfully, the base nuclear power plant is still functioning, and we've managed to get it back online. However, the robots that were once stored here are gone, and they likely never to be repurposed. Dang it all to hell. Get those. Install police force. Have them join us. Dark Brotherhood should declare war on me soon. Hopefully blitz right through him.
Enclave here.
Follow me.
Enclave here. This is Enclave main comm.
Bit of auto save in there.
This is Enclave main comm.
There they go. Sins of our past. Ask any Enclave old timer and they'll speak of the good old days of America where everything was perfect and nothing was wrong. Ask any old ghoul and they'll tell you a story of a brutal military dictatorship and unhinged corporate greed, oppression, automation, food riots, human rights abuse. We can print all day America was this house on a hill, but once you look inside you may never want to look back. America was as much as a fault as the communists for its own downfall, and the genocidic leaders of the Rig were too blind to see that. 170 years of smelling their own farts made them even the worst for few smelling like even worse for few smelled like a rose. If any lesson of the Great War is to be taught, it's one of America. Sure, it's back, but for how long? How long until another China? How long until another weapon leads to another Great War? How will America learn the mistakes of its past when most of those who saw it unfold are now dead? We are the people by the people. Recruitable population factor, stability -5%, liberty and freedom are paramount. We should not put profits above morals, or we did nothing wrong. For the people, by the people. Perfect, they declared war on us. Let's do Monsters of the East. They weren't guarding anything. The port mall might be a little bit harder to break through.
Enclave here. Enclave here.
You have to go north.
This is Enclave main comm.
Fuel, military cars.
Enclave here.
We all aim. Jackson's Cannon was wounded. We could still build these foundries everywhere. Northwestern cause. Defeated some of their navy there. Weapons of the old world, Freedom Ahoy, improved ground attack, and ace generation. Sorry if I skipped that while you guys were reading.
This is Enclave main com. This is Enclave main com. Enclave here.
See another naval fight. Hunted them down again. That's the Maw. Some gliders, I guess. Let's research the M200 assault rifle. The Maw should fall here soon. They didn't have a chance. End of the Oregon pirate era. We get 6% war support, some 50 naval experience. Pirates of the Maw have been a terror of the northern wastes for decades now, having tangled with every major navy from New Victoria to New California. Time and again, they would raid up and down the coast. For every ship sunk, 3 more would appear. The Hydra of Oregon was deemed nigh impossible to defeat until the United States Navy arrived on the scene. A series of pitched battles, American brave and valiant sailors fought the dread pirates on the open sea and even in daring boarding actions both on the United States naval vessels and the pirate ships of the Maw. Now only the United States Navy remains, with the bulk of the Port Maw pirate fleet sunk to the bottom of the cold northern Pacific, feasted upon by ghoul whales and the occasional northern kraken. A spokesperson for the Navy today said this will be a lesson to any who wish to fight the Navy. We will not quit until our shores are secure and our enemies vanquished from the emerald oceans. Siege of Portland. The city of Roses bleeds. Army experience plus 50. East Portland State is now a core of the United States. This is Rick Green bringing updates from Portland. Fighting continues in the north as United States troops enter Portland. The Washington Brotherhood continues to mount a stiff resistance, fortifying any crossing points across the Columbia River. Power armor clashes with power armor in the streets, while troops on both sides engage in fierce urban combat. As the streets of the city of Roses run red with bloods, we can only wonder which side will bleed more by the end of the day. Port Maw, fate of the cause, their paladins, knights, scribes, lancers join the United States.
This is Enclave main com. Enclave here. Enclave here.
Defeat that.
Enclave here. Enclave here.
Well, all of you to aim towards their capital. Kaiser and his legion. To say the legion was flawed is an understatement. However, no one can deny Edward made a gold out of lead, turning the desperate tribes of Arizona into a military power that gave the NCR a run for its money and even took on our troops in power armor. Yet the legion followed Kaiser and not his ideals. Many knew that when Mr. Swallow was removed from the picture, the legion would collapse into infighting. We should know it's a contingency plan with the bastard. Taking those mistakes in stride, the success of the legion could be applied to the United States. They're scrubbed and given a star-spangled coat of paint, of course. We're not turning women into birth factories. People should follow America's ideal, not the president. Everyone contributes, no one does. The true to Lanius, stability, wartime, really, LARPers. People should follow America's ideals, not the president's. True to Kaiser. Let's see. Change that bind.
Enclave here. Enclave here. Enclave main comm. Enclave here. Enclave here. Enclave here.
There's the Bastion of American Brotherhood, the Brotherhood Council. United States politicians. Let's see. We'll take those territories soon. We'll come up here. Power grids. Another Navy fight. We didn't lose a singular boat.
This is Enclave main comm. This is Enclave main comm. Enclave here. Enclave here. Enclave here. Enclave here. Enclave here. Enclave here.
Knock out the Washington Brotherhood. Somehow defeat the Broken Coast. Washington Brotherhood not so mortal after all. We can only wonder what the Immortals thinking on the seat of power in Seattle. The United States Army continues to make advances toward the legendary pre-war city as the Air Force and Naval patrol the cold, icy skies and wave. Many of the Immortals' best commanders lay defeated in a line that stretched from his ruined city all the way to the Columbia River and beyond. Many are theorizing the Immortal will try and escape to his former chapter in the Midwest Brotherhood, but just as many are speculating that he'll make a final stand in Seattle, protecting his dark foundry, which we can only speculate what is. Broken Steel and American Might, the feared Seattle-based chapter of the Brotherhood of Steel has seen their status laid low as American Army forces continue to push north into the cold Washington wasteland. Frontline reports show that while Washington Brotherhood paladins remain a threat, much of their main fighting force are slaves or conscript given cheap weapons and sent into the cold. Most not all are shackled with slave collars, resulting in one barbaric attack where a wave of enslaved knights charged at an army position, resulting in vicious close-quarter combat before the collars were all detonated, such as the horror that comes out of Seattle. Battle for the Mall. The Mall is now a state or is a core of the United States. Leonardo William, reporter from the USS Navarro. The United States Navy unleashed a devastating barrage against the defenders of Port Mall. Most of the pirate and raider forces, already desperately trying to hold off against the advance of the United States Army, were annihilated in the bombardment. A few of the vessels tried to sail out and engage Navy ships in combat, only to be sunk by a combined force of naval guns and naval vertibirds. United States troops are expected to make a final push against the Mall itself, bringing an end to the Oregon pirates once and for all.
Enclave here. This is Enclave main comm. You have to get out?
The Maxson idea. The Brotherhood of Steel, the errant successors for the United States Army, driven by contempt for our actions with the war effort, they nonetheless try to uphold the traditions of the Army by protecting people. That's what Maxson tried anyway. The ideals of the Brotherhood were soon bastardized to hoarding technology, a disregard of human life, and anyone seen outside their hollowed halls were nothing more than contempt, made worse by a hamstrung elder council who would push their problems out the door and pretend they never existed, leading to the rise of the Washington Brotherhood and Elijah. Yet they remained true to their cause and survived more than one attempt at destruction by their foes, even building entire nations from the Midwest to the east to Texas. Maxson's teachings. Life is a technology, stability, less war support. America has no time for traitors. Less reconnaissance. I'm trying to build war support. I like lines teaching's the best anyway. Tandy's legacy.
Enclave here. Enclave here. This is Enclave main comm.
Take the Port Mall. And then the Broken Coast. Take all their navy. Confirm an exit. Perfect.
Enclave here.
Now we'll send you up here. And we'll send
Enclave here.
you up here.
Enclave here.
The rest of you, some of you can go on the border here.
Enclave here. Enclave here.
Most of you can.
Enclave here.
Your forces can go over here.
This is Enclave main comm.
Your forces can go there.
Enclave here.
And your forces can go there. High above Lone Star, vital component of strategic air command southern efforts. The bombers high above Mexico, the Gulf, and the communist hellhole of Cuba ensured that any who challenged America in its own backyard would meet a swift and destructive end. Post-war, the base will continue to serve this. Improved air mission efficiency in eighth generation. Yeehaw. History at Fort Walters, yeah, the most decorated man in the Army, Audie Murphy, completed basic training at Camp Walters at the age of 19. Murphy received the Medal of Honor after single-handedly holding off an entire company of German soldiers for an hour at Colmar Pocket in France in January 1945, then leading a successful counterattack while wounded and out of ammunition. He would become one of the most decorated American combat soldiers of the war, receiving every military combat award for valor available from the U.S. Army, as well as French and Belgian awards for heroism. Which was also where Edward Slavic trained the only man to be executed for diversion out of 2,864 in World War II. In this regard, the base continued to be used for training for the Army and the Texas National Guard, and post-war served as a raider base and then a Brotherhood stronghold until our return. With the flag above the post once more, we would have shown we returned to Texas. Granbury changed name to Fort Walters, and gives a boost to Army Organization Special Forces cap. The NA named the same. A joint base was headed by the Navy. NAS Fort Worth came into its own, fighting smugglers and protecting oil assets in the Gulf, sending naval strikes aircraft when all our carriers were in the Pacific, claiming at least 4 Chinese submarines pre-war. It was no surprise it was hit hard during the Great War. Texas Brotherhood brought it back online, though never used it to its full potential. The Navy is eager to get the base fully operation capacity to start sending out patrols over the Gulf, given the rise in pirates' attack on our shipping in the area. Further, it serves as another airport on our push east, and the Navy is well aware that the fighters will be called upon to fight the menace that is Chicago in the near future. Improved ground strike in 8 generations. Watching over Austin, the former Texas National Guard base, when the Texas chapter of the Brotherhood ventured south, they found the remnants of this installation and expanded upon it, working with nearby Austin to create a mighty bastion in which to defend the trade routes and continue to administrate law and order, or what passes for law and order under the Brotherhood of Steel. Since our return, we've taken advantage of the upgrades they made using a bastion in the region, especially given that many around here are too keen to see America back in force. Sadly, this camp was not named for a great President Swift, instead being named for an equally honorable Major General Ibn Swift of the U.S. Army. Well, this is random. Fort Swift, give a boost to Army Organization Special Forces cap. Let's see. Do this. Stop police. Do all that. Darkness over Washington. We'll do political actions, no. Arc jet system schematics. We can do that. Unite the Tri-Cities. We can do that. Do that. Scavenge with vehicles. Repair the next turbine. It's giving us a bunch of power. Purchase better drills. It's crazy to me that Republic of Mexico will not let us trade. Store all those Air Force bases. Stent security is what we need to finish off, so we just need 100 more.
This is Enclave main com.
What's all you get in here? Fate of the Washington Brotherhood. Scourge of Seattle in the dark cold winter made manifest, led by the immortal the Washington Brotherhood pushed the boundaries of science and ethics, sacrificing their humanity as well as the lives of Seattle. Who knows how many were fed to the infernal machines under Seattle? Even our peers who fled northward were betrayed and sacrificed to pierce the veil of reality and uncover secrets never meant to be known. Perhaps it was best to close this dark chapter of the Brotherhood once and for all. The work is better left unread or undone.
This is Enclave main com.
You guys head out this way. Go north, do that. Tandy's Legacy.
Enclave here. This is Enclave main com.
Glad everybody I chose had the same color.
Enclave here. Enclave here. Enclave here.
Tandy's Legacy, the NCR was one of the largest successor states of the West Coast, carrying on the traditions of the old world, despite being a rebellion government occupying American lands. Started out as an honest attempt at creating civilization, developed rapidly. Politicians, wealthy barons, and a loose cannon military-industrial complex. In short, the exact thing we had just prior to the Great War, and they did it in half the time. Those who had the power quickly centralized it in the hands of the few for profit, and those who could wielded their power with reckless abandon. Even when we took California, we felt the sting of the Brahmin barons, and were forced to deal with them accordingly. The NCR shows exactly why trying to repeat the old world would just lead to the very same mistakes. Enshrined Tandy's reform in the Constitution. Get houses, democracy no longer functions in this world, or Oliver's Legacy division organization. Tandy's Legacy. Let's see, do the lessons of the followers, rebuilding the Pacific Northwest, and Masters of the Wasteland. So, the followers, there's quite a few left to do here. King of Swing at the Tops. The Tops Casino is advertised probably the pre-war singer Dean Domino has made a return to New Vegas for the first time in 200 years. The famous pre-war lounge singer was previously rescued during a government-sponsored clearing operation in the mythical Sierra Madre. After recovering in the hospital near the resort, Dean has returned to New Vegas and is ready to make a comeback to stardom once again. However, he's providing a select few performances with new song and recording he developed while sitting in the Sierra Madre. Something's got to give.
Enclave here. Yeah, you can say that again. Enclave main com.
You four move into Earl's Cove.
Enclave here.
Military cars. Vehicle organization.
This is Enclave main com.
All those units were defeated.
This is Enclave main com.
We'll do the Stent Security Solutions. ArcJet Systems. Oh. Attempting to recreate the success of the Lockreed School out west, the President administration has likewise set up a similar school out east with the former ArcJet Systems. Despite the East Coast being nowhere near as civilized or advanced as the West, there has been a surprising number of applicants with both engineering and electrical knowledge, which has made the creation of the school all that easier. Many have noted that aircraft engineering is simpler than electrical wiring and construction of settlements in the East, something that even our engineers are having issues with grasping. Why is the settlement system so hard? ArcJet Systems trade tariff plus 1%. Not that great. To the Kovar Union. I'm just flat out destroying them now. Lessons of the Followers, largest humanitarian organization this side of the Rockies, if not the entire wasteland. Doctors, teachers, farmers, they're focused on providing humanitarian aid, enduring them to many struggling settlements, and many viewing them as saviors in the wasteland. Of course, just as many government, of ourselves included, see them as radical anarchists and rabble-rousers. Further, their own policy of membership has allowed many we would see as criminals to escape the long arm of the law. Despite this, we've managed to survive over a century and will continue to do so. Such an enduring legacy could be put to good use. Education can lead to a prosperous society. Gift of health. Factory output. We must rebuild. Let's see, research speed. Yeah, I don't think I'll take anything. Well, we'll just do that one. The compliance gain isn't much. The Masters of the World.
This is Enclave main com.
We're out of energy cells. Trade wise, we can't trade with anybody. Why the Republic of Mexico will not let me trade with them, I do not know. Pilots is over. Build the better plasma rifles. What factories do I got? I really need the vertibirds being built. Better gauze rifles. Stunt security should be done soon. Always out front. So you've done the Masters of the Wasteland. We've done all those. We're rebuilding the Northwest. Victorian Union with Kuvar. Mr. President, the Queen has happily informed us that Kuvar has accepted the royal delegation of the Union, extending a hand in union and friendship. The Queen is expected to visit the Kuvar capital and grant the title of Provisional Governor to the Winterborn, a sign of good faith and eventual prosperity. Canadian forces are beginning to distribute goods and conduct security patrols, not requiring U.S. forces for the time being. And stunt security. It's no secret that Gunrunner's monopoly has caused concern amongst several caravan companies, smaller time owners, and even some within the Army. With the recapture of Seattle, the likewise stunt security main headquarters and production facility that ends today by presidential mandate. At a ribbon-cutting ceremony in the former Dark Brotherhood city, stunt security reopened its doors, manufacturing several ballistic weapons such as the R-95, along with post-war models for the Wastelanders on a budget. Will take some time to gain large customer base at the Gunrunners. The fact they lacked a customer base in the Pacific Northwest and are now forbidden from operating there until 2320 gives the restart up and edge in competition. Get stunt security solutions, which gives trade tariffs plus 1%, fire team support plus 10%, fire team support defense plus 10%, fire team infantry attack, and fire team infantry defense plus 10%. Alright. That's all the old old government groups.
Enclave here.
You can go there.
This is Enclave main com.
You can go up here.
This is Enclave main com.
And you can also go here. Mother of the Silence for the USS Atoll, acting as Surface Warfare Command Center for the Northern Pacific region. The station serves as both a backup to the NB Kitsape, as well as its own command center. The base gained some additional fame pre-war as a coordination center when the U.S. Atoll was sunk off the coast of Alaska in 2066 by USS Interference. Soon where the flag of the USS Atoll was flown before being transferred to the Museum of Technology, and a tribunal for court-martial of the USS Interference Captain Van Buren was held. Improves naval repair and coordination. The massive military installation that is JBLM is Joint Base Lewis McChord, but two military bases that were combined pre-war to try and save on cost. The Army component of Fort Lewis was home to at least 3 Army divisions and their families, with infrastructure to serve all, plus an additional 4 divisions that would rotate in for training before the Resource War. The Air Force component of McChord Air Force Base served as the regional hub for operations heading north, as well as rear echelon command for the Alaska Strike Command. The years since then have not been kind. It's been cleaned by post-war scavengers, and airfield took a direct hit from a nuclear bomb. Then there was the Brotherhood. Thankfully, we managed to get the base up and running, acting as headquarters for operation in the Great White North. While this place is big, Kodak Base changes name to Joint Base Lewis McChord, gives boost to air mission efficiency, H generation, Army organization, and Special Forces cap. Sampson's wrote about changing the name to Fairchild Air Force Base, gives a boost to air mission efficiency in H generations. If you guys would like to keep reading these, I'll just keep reading. Fairchild Air Force Base was vital in the Alaska Restoration for being the primary bomber striking center that rained hell upon the Chinese attempts to invade sovereign American territory. And its mission gained new meaning, targeting Canadian terrorists deep in the north, destroying much of the renegade Canadian government's hold in the north and allowing America to gain the initiative. The battle between the Old Country and the Rotburgers left the base in disarray. The Rotpurgers, as both factions vied for control of the base and required extra work to repair the fresh damage. Now, however, it's back under Strategic Air Command's control and ready to continue the fight. Marines of the Maw, a former Army heliport with defense fundings tight due to the ongoing war in Alaska and the soon-to-be open Chinese front. The Marines brokered a deal with the Army to turn over the old Riley Army helipad to the Marines. Exploiting a loophole in funding, the Marines were able to build the post up rapidly, and from here they successfully conducted their LHCN campaign, cutting Chinese supply shipments to Anchorage in half. Post-war, it sat desolate, save a few scavengers, and with Lewis McCorden to the north distracting the Brotherhood. Instead, the Marines hoped to use it as a stage and a training ground for operations in the north and for continued patrols against pirates that still infest the northern waters. Improve amphibious attack and special forces capacity. Defending southern Portland. Fort Withomcombe was a former Oregon National Guard base that was expanded upon in the communist invasion that never came. Regardless, the base was used as a training site for the Oregon National Guard and for new recruits who were shipped off to China. Post-war, it's been used by the cause to defend against the cannibals and super mutants of southern Oregon, allowing them to devote more energy to fighting off the Washington Brotherhood in the north. How do you even pronounce that? Gain boost army organization and special forces cap. Watching over the Maw improves naval repair and coordination. Port Maw, whether we like it or not, is to be a vital communicational port here in Oregon, and if it wasn't for the caravan routes, it would possibly eclipse Portland. However, many of the merchants aren't too keen with being told what to do, but being it piracy or otherwise. Just because we say we're enforcing it doesn't mean we won't push their luck. Further, an attack on Port Maw would very well cripple the economy of the northern Oregon. We can't have that. We need the money for taxes. And Tribes of the magazine, what was once home to a deep-water ammunition pier and a conventional ordnance storage site, eventually became home to a series of tribal cultists who worshipped the formal naval facilities. While the Olympus tribe tolerated the Brotherhood of Steel, was not so tolerant of the people who sat atop pre-war munitions and technology. Before our arrival, the tribe attempted to reestablish control of the magazine. Before we could even establish how many there were, they attacked our construction crews, prompting a response that saw them wiped out. Now that the curious episode was over, we managed to restore the magazine to working order and supplying our naval force in the Pacific. Reduces naval refit cost. Sentinel in the North Pacific. Naval base Kitsay served to keep American submarines and carriers fueled, supplied, and families housed while operating in the Northern Pacific. It became the focal point for what became known as the battle beneath the Pacific against the Chinese submarine fleet during the Resource War. Of course, that meant it was a target by the Chinese nuclear bombardment that started the Great War. Improves naval repair and coordination.
Enclave here. Enclave here.
Enclave here.
Enclave here.
So we have to fight this horribly bloody fight. Scavengers triumphant. Great Canadian border debate. I'll just do that. This territory needs to be cored. A bunch of it down in Texas needs to be cored. That needs to be cored. So there's a lot more to be done. This is where all of our supplies have gone. I was like, we'll never run out of power. Now we have no power. Top of that, infrastructure. Shoot, you can barely even see what's going on. Start getting the infrastructure built up. Infrastructure don't take much time to build, and we get really good resources, so I do want some foundries being built. Alright, well that should just leave me alone for a little bit. Better foundries. Traders from the Southern Empire. Ooh, we get that. Yeah, expert negotiators. Art of diplomacy. Traders from Hawaii. Building the Northwest Commonwealth. Cascadia or the Northwest Commonwealth. This question being asked by thousands of Americans from San Francisco to Seattle. Compromising northern reaches of California, the former Navarro territories in Oregon and Washington. The new Northwest administration have claimed that there are more important matters to attend to. Face the names. Cannibalism, roving super mutants, psychotic raiders, and the remnants of the Washington Brotherhood. For now, the administration is working tirelessly to restore law and order, and a large swath of food are being shipped north. In return, the vast technological treasures of Seattle and the commerce of Portland are being thoroughly exploited to benefit America as a whole. Caps income. Do the war support. Radar, or Raider. Let's see. Click on the national spirit. Let's get Starlight Express. Conducts a railway between the Boneyard and Seattle. Purification station. We can do all these. It just can't be done. Well, why not? That's been the byword for the debate raging among diplomats since we've taken to restoring Canada and the subject of the border. It appears the powers that be have made it nigh impossible to set the border of a straight line, and unlike Mexico, that's caused a diplomatic row. Suffice to say, those who are shedding tears over a nice, clean, straight line will have to live with the fact the situation at hand does not allow for it anymore, nor will it be wasting time to try and come to the conclusion. The State Department is preparing a flagship team for the best diplomat, and they're acing the whole arcade Gannon. Alright, let them hear it. Northern border. With the annexation of Canada in the past, pre-war government went to the great efforts to erase the border or mention the border from the records. Even our records are incomplete, as our predecessor firmly believed Canada was a sovereign American territory. We have some mentions of a 49th parallel, but what that means is lost to us. To tell this, the State Department has sent their best to New Victoria to hash things out. Leading the American mission, of course, Arcade Gannon. His interest in building better relations with our northern dominion, and has been working with the diplomats to set about creating a fair border that advances both our interests and Canadians. Have sent a team of cartographers from the Royal Surveyor Office led by the Queen's own son, Prince Edward. Thankfully, Gannon has been able to strike up a rapport with the Prince. Hopefully that's all they've struck up. Together, they've used caravan maps and some old air zone maps from the pre-war era to determine the layout of the border. However, more than a few have accused him of being too generous to Canada, while others are commenting that the border looks ugly, the least party being told what to do. I trust him to get the job done. Or the Seattle-Vancouver, Washington-Vancouver Accords. I trust Cannon. Hopefully. Well, it looks right to me anyway. Or just about right.
Enclave main comm.
Been a pretty ugly fight, to be honest with you.
This is Enclave main comm. Enclave here.
Alright. Can't do anything here. Search for the purists. Well, horrors awaited during our return to Seattle. One of our main priorities were to find those who fled the Sierra Army Depot during our Reformation. Whitehall Company scientists, most importantly Anderson, we managed to trace their movements north to what we thought was MacArthur Air Force Base until a freak blizzard diverted them towards Seattle, where they came under the employment of the Washington Brotherhood. The dark foundries of Seattle welcomed all, and when our investigation teams started looking into the records, many wish we didn't. The best and brightest were fed to those infernal machines. Their brain power advanced knowledge of the cost of their souls. We don't know how many were fed in there or what became of them. We can't help but fear that a lot of them might still be alive and they're screaming in pain or shouting to get out. Guess that's a worse fate for the purists anyway. Burn it all. Best to never know. Burn it all. Dr. Anderson, I presume. Well, it was Dr. Anderson. Granite looked to the bloody, twitching, withering husk who was Anderson. Perhaps it was God above who whipped up the snowstorm that diverted them out of Montana into Washington. Perhaps it was the punishment from the very same God he always invoked that had their party captured by the Washington Brotherhood. It was somewhat ironic that the man was captured by the state and Brotherhood that bore this name of the founding father, as if George himself was reaching through time to deliver the worst fate possible. Kept alive by twisted pre-war medical horrors disguised as miracles, his mind was used as a processor for the Washington Brotherhood to continue whatever experiments he was hoping to complete. While so many others were fed and used, becoming hollowed husks, Anderson had been spared from that fate. Perhaps it was his winning personality that drove the immortal to deliver special procedures for Anderson to keep him alive. Well, alive might not be the right word. In a clinical sense, he was alive, and perhaps somewhere in that gibberish, shaking, drain, wrecking, Anderson might still be alive. As Granite looked to the creature that was once his rival, there seemed to be some dim recognition in Anderson's eye, but just that dim recognition, nothing more. Granite, for his part, shivered. Kill him, just kill him. The Hanford reactors. President Granite and the engineers at Hanford reactor site have reported gala squatters who refused to leave. The ghouls claim they've maintained the plant since the Great War and demand compensation for repairing the facility. We can force them out, but they could damage the plant on the way out, and the resistance radiation might be useful. What should we do? Give them some plasma grenades. Give them stock in the new company. Yeah. Pirates in the mall. With the destruction of the mall, we needed to decide what to do with the pirates who made it home. We could scatter them to the waste, but some of the pirates claimed they were engaged in aggressive commerce given the lack of protection from the shipping area. Imprison leadership and scatter them to the waste, or use them to revive the United States merchant machine. I actually think it's supposed to be merchant marine. There's some stability match to the sea. Yeah, we could do that. Alright, well, with that, I'm going to end the episode. Hopefully, in the next episode, we will finally finish our war against the dredgers. It's been taking a long while, but sometimes these battles do. But
You can say that again.
hope you guys have enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next ones. Bye.